Welcome, everybody. I'm Nitsan Mosery, the traveling investor, and welcome to Keys to the Castle, unlocking the secrets to multifamily investing. In this show, we're going to be diving deep into the world of multifamily real estate investing. And as the demand for housing continues to rise, multifamily properties have become an increasingly popular investment option for individuals looking to build wealth and generate passive income. However, investing in multifamily properties is not without its challenges. From finding the right property to managing tenants and maximizing returns, there are many secrets and strategies that successful investors use to make the most of their investments. In each episode, we'll be speaking with experienced investors, industry experts, and other key players in the world of multifamily real estate to uncover these secrets and unlock the potential of multifamily investing. So, whether you're a seasoned investor or you're just getting started, join us as we explore the world of multifamily real estate investing and learn how to unlock the keys to the castle. Today's show, I've got an incredible investor. His name is Neil Timmons. Neil has completed hundreds of fix and flips, wholesales, wholetails, novations, owner finance deals, and much more. Neil longed to quit, forfeiting time for dollars, which many of us do today. And after building a portfolio of single family rentals to produce passive income, he found the strategy to be anything but passive. And I can relate to that 100%. Neil, however, didn't go looking for his first commercial deal. He actually stumbled into it, that's how many of us get into the commercial world. And since then, he's refined the process of analyzing and buying commercial properties that produce stellar cash flow. Neil, Neil has been involved in check this out, $300 million in real estate transactions. That's a lot. While his holdings in commercial assets include apartments, offices, mobile home parks, and self-storage units, his passion is industrial property. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. Neil now has verticals in residential real estate, multiple commercial asset classes, brokerage, publishing, and a successful podcast. Neil and his wife, Emily, are the proud parents of 3 active teenagers. God bless you. I have 2. The apples do not fall far from the tree, as those who know Neil would say. He is a competitor by nature, whether for the biggest fish on a deep sea fishing trip, the best ribs at a barbecue, or playing football back in his day at his alma mater, the University of Nebraska at Omaha, as a Maverick. Neil is always up for travel, spending time on the water, and of course, meeting people interested in learning about and investing in commercial properties. So I suggest today, travelers, grabbing a pen and a piece of paper and start taking notes, because there's going to be a lot of information, a lot of gold nuggets that Neil is going to share from his journey from the beginning to where he is today. So without further ado, let's bring him on. Neil, what's happening, my man?
Hey, my friend, how are you? Thanks so much for having me here.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for being here and coming in from all the way from Des Moines, Iowa. I love it, man.
It's my honor. It's good to be here.
Yeah, this internet stuff is great. You get to talk to people from all over the country, all over the world, and it's really amazing. So thanks for being here. Pretty impressive bio you've got there.
It's well, thanks. It's years in the making, and it certainly didn't start out that way. It took me a little bit to find a passion and interest in what I was going to do. So many of us, as you mentioned, I went to school over in Omaha. I graduated there with zero clue about what I was going to do.
But you probably graduated with a degree, right? In something.
Got a degree in something. Yeah. In finance, and knew I liked investments, just had no idea how in the world that was going to materialize and what it was going to look like, but found my way into real estate, and it fit like a glove. You ever been in one of those places that you're like, oh, this is home, right?
Absolutely.
That's what walking into the industry was like.
Oh, that's fabulous. So tell me, what were you doing before real estate, and what was the shift? What happened that made you say, you know what, I'm done there, I want to go over there?
You're gonna love this. So I graduated from university, over in Omaha, and during that time, I drove by Warren Buffett's personal house every day while I was in college. He lives literally 3 blocks from the university, And so
Mhm.
loved him and studied investments all the way through, and came back, moved back to Des Moines, went to work as a banker, personal banker, not a business banker, a personal banker. So think checking accounts, savings accounts, second mortgages, annuities, CDs, that kind of stuff. And
Nice.
so learned a little about that. And 2 years in, somewhere in that range, my mom, who raised myself and my three younger brothers, all the kids are up, they're gone, they're out of the house, and she's going, I'm bored. I want to do something. What should I do? And I thought about it, and I was like, you should be a realtor, Mom. You like people, you like houses. And she's thought about it literally for like 5 seconds. She's like, you're right. I should do that. So that's what she literally made the decision just like that. She becomes a realtor. A year later, we're reviewing paychecks. She makes twice as much as I make working at the bank. And I thought, again, you set it up in the intro. I come from a very competitive household. I played college football, and I've got three brothers. You can imagine it
Oh
was it
yeah.
was it was a rambunctious place. And so I thought to myself, you know what? If Mom can do that, I can do better. And so that was it. I was like, I'm going to be a realtor. And that was my entry point into the industry.
Wow. Wow. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's amazing how it, if you're open to it, if you're open to receiving things, to looking at other opportunities, it's amazing what's out there for you. So you became a realtor, you started working, you started listing, selling homes, but that's one big niche of the real estate world, which
Right.
isn't in the investing world, right?
Right.
So what was it that made you kind of suddenly look and say, you know what, I want to, let's make another switch, right? All right, I'm doing listings, I'm selling, I'm doing retail and whatnot. What was that next step for you?
So I get, I'm 5, maybe 6 years in at that point. First year I became rookie of the year. Like I said, it fit like a glove. 5 years
Mm-hmm.
in, at that point, I own a REMAX, became the number one REMAX broker in the state of Iowa when I was 29 years old. And I think I'm on the top of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm killing it. I say that at the same time, I'm killing myself. I'm working 70 hours a week. I'm working
Sure.
every day of the week.
Sure.
My first year into real estate, I took 10 days off. So I worked 355 days. In order to
Crazy, huh?
make it, it required sacrifice. So I get, I'm 7 years in, 8 years in at this point, somewhere in that range. I've got three little kids, all under 5. I come home one day, and wife's got the car packed up, and she says she's leaving for
Oh.
good. I'm sitting here thinking I'm all the reason, we tell ourselves stories. I'm doing all these things for my family.
Yeah.
I'm the breadwinner. I'm the man of the house. I'm here to
Mm-hmm.
provide, to do all these things, and I think I'm doing it for them. And what you quickly find out is that they don't need you to sell one more house. In fact, they would like it if you didn't, because that means more time away.
Mm.
All they wanted was me. So I begged and pleaded with my wife to give me an opportunity to change. She agreed. 30 days later, I sold my REMAX and I left the industry.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
held true to my word that I was going to change. It changed
Mm-hmm.
real quick. So I took a hiatus for about a year, had no idea what I was going to do, dabbled in a couple of things. And then finally I was like, I got to get back in, the one thing I know, which is real estate. And so my entry point back in was investing.
Oh wow.
So that's where I came back in on the investment side and started fixing and flipping. The benefit of that versus that of a brokerage is I could control my time better.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't have to go chauffeur people around at 6, 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night to show houses.
Right.
I got to manage crews. I have to do other things, but I can get more control of my time. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, go through the single family space, flip at this point, hundreds to date, hundreds and hundreds of homes, understand everything on the single family side, like you said on the intro. All right. No, novation, wholesale, hotel, owner finance. I've done it all in single finance. If it exists, I've done it. And so uh, eventually moved more forward about 6 years ago. I got presented with an opportunity to buy a commercial property. So 17,000 square foot industrial property. And, you know, I don't know if you experience this, but I know others do. I got that little Eeyore voice in my head going, maybe, but maybe not. This might not be for you. You didn't grow up in commercial. You may not have the right connections. You don't know enough about this, right? All these things, all these the little voice that's on the other side, the naysayer voice. And I'm,
Mm-hmm.
every time I've been faced with something, I simply ask myself the question, is what I am doing now going to get me to where I want to go? And when the answer is inevitably a no, I know I have to make a change. And so when I ask myself that question on that ER voice disappears and I move forward with action. Bought that property a few months in. It's a triple net lease, long-term tenant in that place. I get a few months in and I'm going, you know what? I never hear from this tenant as opposed to single family rentals.
Right.
And I'm the manager. I'm going, there's something here. And when there's something there, you're going, it's time to lean into that. And so I leaned in hard and then it was study. I got a finance degree. I love numbers. I like Excel spreadsheets. I like people. So I was going, all right, let's figure out how to put this together. And so that led to buying, led to the next one, a seller finance retail property that we actually just went full circle on last year. And that was a terrific deal, retail piece, 12 unit retail. And that led to, again, more industrial property and self-storage facility, mobile home park, apartments, of course. So multiple asset classes. And then ultimately, which we will, I'll be out of all of my single family rentals, all my C class. I'm still holding some B class, really quality stuff, but I'll be out of it all probably in the next 60 days.
Wow, it's amazing.
I couldn't be more excited to be out of the single family rental space.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you on that. I've done fix and flips in the whole, just like yourself, and it's great. But when you're buying properties with multiple tenants and they don't bother you, and this one little, tenant in a house that you're making maybe $200-300 profit every month, if that, right? If that, and they're calling you every other day. It's just you understand economies of scale. You understand having that management company in between you and them. It's a whole different ballgame. It's as if the veil of real estate is lifted because everybody thinks the golden calf is a single family.
Well, I'll tell you the biggest horror story in my single family. I bought 2 homes right next to each other. This was about 5 years ago. I paid when I could really buy deep. I paid like 45 grand a pop for these things. Great, right? Sits on sits up a little hill on a 4-lane street. Maybe 2 years ago, somewhere in that range. Oh, the water line breaks going to the house. It breaks in the middle of a 4-lane street.
Oh,
and you
no.
know whose responsibility that is? It's
That's
mine.
yours.
So that means I have to, have the 4-lane street. We have to dig and cut out concrete to get to the main line in the 4-lane street, re-pour the concrete, run the entire line all the way up this hill to the house. $14,000. It eliminated the cash flow from that property for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
8 years. No negative cash flow.
Mm-hmm.
So that thing got sold, and the market has obviously been very, very positive. So if you're in an environment, one thing that has been very positive is that we're in an environment where these houses have appreciated like mad. And so we're able to turn a terrible deal into a net positive simply because the sale prices have elevated so rapidly.
Right. That's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, I had the same experience with one house. I bought it here next to me in Delray Beach for $75,000, and I had a leak as well. And that was it. There goes the profit for the next 2 years. Yeah. If anything else happens, I'm screwed.
Correct.
I just got a notification from the city that I got to change the back fence. It's falling apart. That's going to be $2,000 minimum.
Correct.
So there's next year's cash flow.
$2,000 minimum. And you know what? How much does that improve the rent?
Right. Nothing. Zero. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Absolutely. So let me ask you this. So when you got started, all right. So now you're in industrial, you're in the commercial space, you're buying, you're raising capital. Somebody out there is listening to you right now. What would be some of the top 3 things for them to understand, learn, know before really diving into the world of industrial, of commercial real estate?
Yeah. What are some of the things you like, what are the top 3 things you'd want to know? And then maybe let's couple that with the action that one should take, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to have top things you should know is, what are your risks? So what's
Mm-hmm.
my risk associated with any asset, right? So what's my lending risk? A big
Mm-hmm.
one. You want to understand loans, the loan covenants, the loan details. You want to understand when a lender puts a 50-page document or a 30-page document in front of it, you have to know all the ins and outs there. That you want to understand how to underwrite a deal, and then how to shock that deal. So understand, when we underwrite a deal, it's what happens if vacancy increases? What happens, at the end of 5 years if my loan rolls up and interest rates are higher than they are today? It's a possibility. So I want to understand what that looks like. And then you just want to be able to build a plan surrounding that.
Build a
You know,
plan. I love it.
yeah, yeah. Some of the best ways to learn. So the action side of this is the best ways to actually do this. There's two ways to do it. Go cut your teeth, doing it yourself, surrounding yourself with the right people in the right communities. The other one is to shortcut that. And that either means hire somebody or invest in somebody else's deal, because you
Mm-hmm.
can learn as you go. And the intent is, if you do this well, it doesn't cost you. In fact, you're rewarded and profit from the deal you invest in, and you learn along the way.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the best ways to learn, right? Go throw
Yes,
some money into somebody's deal, make sure that they're a good operator, make sure
correct.
that they have a good track record, make sure you trust them, that you know what they're doing, all that good stuff. How do you find the market, the city, the neighborhood, the area? What are some of the criteria that you look for when looking at an industrial asset?
Yeah. So when we're looking at industrial, and we're doing this now, we've exited. I say exited. We've grown out of Iowa. How about that? So we're looking in
Mm-hmm.
multiple places. So we're looking for a lot of things you'd look for in the multifamily side. As a matter of fact, you're looking for job growth, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's
Mm-hmm.
the demand? If you got job growth, people want to live there. If I've got job growth, there's industrial. People want to occupy the properties that are there. What does it look like from a occupancy standpoint? So we're looking at ratios, at numbers on that standpoint. Is it a positive economic environment? So
Mm-hmm.
is a silly city pro business or not pro business, right? So there's
Absolutely.
some areas that you'd want to identify. So that's a big
Okay.
one. And then I'm also looking for more granular level inside of a city. Where's the action? So where do people actually want to be? As you know, in every city has buildings, and you could build a brand new building, and it could be
Mm-hmm.
the exact same building anywhere, but there's a spot in the city that people definitely don't want to go to occupy that building. There's a spot they want to be at. I want to understand what those nuances are. And so for that, we're tapping local partners, so brokers, for that type of granular information.
That's awesome. Absolutely. It's funny when you mentioned like the actual location in the city. I remember when I was a little kid, my father had his store in Manhattan,
Mm,
in what now is Soho. Back then it didn't have the
yeah,
acronym of Soho. It was
yeah,
just Houston and Broadway. On our side of the street, people walked, thousands of people on a daily basis. Across the street, we would watch store after store after store, after bank after bank after bank. They would open up. 6 months later, they would close. They would open up.
yeah,
6 months later, they would close. For some reason, people didn't like the other side of the street.
yeah,
And if you don't know what side of the street to be on, you're one
correct.
of those people that in 6 months you're going to lose everything and go. So it's so crucial to know what side. It sounds funny what side of the street, but it's so important to understand that.
I think retailers have that down best, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
They understand traffic flows, patterns, how people come in and interact, and they at the street level, yes, and then even the best retailers on the earth understand it inside their own store and lay
Right.
those out. They get
Mm-hmm.
it. Yeah,
Absolutely. What goes on the top of the shelf, right? There you have the things in the middle of the shelf, on the bottom of the shelf, on the corners. So it's all about location, isn't
that's
it?
right. You're exactly right about that. Yes,
It's about location, 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 right? So so all right, so you gave us some criteria about markets and things of that nature. How do you go out? Let's talk a little bit about raising capital now, because you've raised over what $300 million of assets and acquired and whatnot. Where do you go to find the capital to acquire these, right? Because you said one of the risks is your lenders getting to know your loans,
Yep.
your lending docs, right? So one of our main major partners is our lender. Then comes the equity. How do you
Correct.
source your equity for this?
Locally, I mean, we do it in a couple of ways. Locally, and then oftentimes I'll get on a show like this, or just connect from putting things out. And I've got a podcast as well, and so connect with folks who are actively looking. They either want to place dollars and cents and just be totally passive, right? Or they want to be passive, yes, and they want to learn, so they can go apply this themselves at the same
Mm-hmm.
exact time.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people here from a local standpoint, just being in, now in the industry 19 years, connecting with folks over a period of time, building a track record.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it is, I see mom and pop investors, individuals, not institutions, people. I
Mm-hmm.
name my company Legacy Impact Investors for two reasons. Largely, it is for the fact that I'm in this business in real estate to build a legacy, and it's my
Right.
intent as well to help others build their legacy. And it fuels me internally to that with people, not institutions, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's awesome. So what you're saying is raising capital is all about networking.
But it's networking, it's relationships. You're
It's
right about that.
relationships. So
Mhm.
when somebody's new, and because you mentioned something real quick in passing, you said track record,
Yeah,
right? Someone is new and they don't have a track record, right? Because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, industrial, commercial, multifamily, when you're getting a loan, you need someone, a guarantor, a sponsor for the debt, right? Someone who's
right.
going to be responsible, who has a track record, who
You
has
got it.
net worth, liquidity, and so forth, right? So when someone's starting out, they don't have a track record, they don't
Right.
have liquidity, right? They're looking to gain all of these things. How
Yeah.
would they go about starting in the business if they don't have that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Connect with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, back to what you just said relative to raising capital. Um, it's about relationships. If you've got an opportunity, it's about connecting with somebody who has the things you do not, right? And just like, if we've got an opportunity, it's about us connecting with things that we do not have. I've got to go find a bank. May have a relationship sooner or later, but oftentimes we're putting new relationships in place. We've got to go find some equity. We've got to go raise it from folks. And we can deliver value to other people. So also it's a mindset piece. I wouldn't walk into it with the idea of, oh, I need all these things. It's such a challenge. I'd be walking into it with, I've got an opportunity for others to help themselves. And at the same time, I get a win as well. I've got an opportunity, if you're the person who sourced that deal, all these other things will fall into place. It's about finding the right people and quarterbacking that thing to put it all together.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's awesome. What people do you have on your team right now?
A good question. I've got Ava Baukamp, my right hand gal. She is our capital raiser. She's our investment manager. Uh, Clint on my team, he is our acquisition person. So I do acquisitions, and he also acquires properties on our behalf. I've got a transaction coordinator as well. And then we've got some external folks to us, but that's our core team right there.
That's a core team. And those people, you guys partner together, you work together, and you go out and it's kind of a what do you call those? A conveyor belt, right? You,
Yep.
you hand it piece by piece, hand it down from one person to another until it gets to the closing table, and until you go out and you start refining or closing and owning the property and managing the
And
assets,
asset
right?
management. You got it. Yep. You're exactly right. It's a process.
It's a process. So how do you go about finding these deals? You have broker relations, people sending them to you. Are you knocking on doors?
Yeah. So great question. We've done it all. As you can imagine, growing out of the single family space, especially in the direct to seller single family space. We've done it all. We've sourced deals every which way. And the biggest challenge, at least seller direct, is that everything works some of the time. So texting, cold calling, mailing, voicemail, I mean, everything works some of the time. So it all works. It's just a matter of how much you're going to do and how you're going to do it. But broker relationships far and away have been the best for us, and they're the best at finding bigger deals. So,
Hmm.
you know, I would encourage somebody if they want to be in the small deal business, going direct to the seller, terrific. But if it's time to elevate, it's it's through brokers there and the relationships with brokers. And so we take that very seriously, our ability to build relationships with brokers, do what we say, understand their needs, and be respectful of that. So that means moving in a timely fashion. They send us something, generally speaking, it's off market. We've got to move in a timely fashion and make some decisions relatively quickly and communicate with them in a clear fashion, even when it's a no, doesn't fit our box. We want to communicate with them timely and then explain why it doesn't line up for us.
Awesome, man. So that's a great way of doing it. All right, let me ask you this now. So someone's getting involved, someone's new, they want to start networking. Where would they go to network, to find owner operators like yourselves, people in the industry that they can partner up with, right? Imagine somebody's listening to us right now and they go, man, I want this lifestyle. I want the time. I'm done with the 9 to 5 and stressing. And, I live in South Florida, and every person here in South Florida is a realtor, and they all work, just like you said, 70, 80, 90 hours a week, and they're busting their ass. But the one thing that realtors don't understand, which is incredible because they're in the real estate world, they don't understand that passive income. They don't understand taking that time and translating that into passive income, right? I do, I get. I don't do, I don't get.
Right.
So when someone is looking to transition, where would they go and network to meet operators like yourselves, acquisitions managers, so that they can team up, so they can go and then talk to the brokers to get these off-market deals?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And this is what I like so much about what you do. You're educating people through these conversations. And then there's certainly opportunities on the backside of that by asking questions just like that. There's networking events that are out there, meetups that are out there. That's generally a pretty good spot. Every city's a little different. Certainly there's a number of conferences. And then it becomes about, when you go to a conference, you've got to go in with a plan of action. What do I want to accomplish? Right. So when I go to these places, I mean, there's literally, I have meetings with my staff to go, all right, what does everybody need? And then it becomes an agenda for me to accomplish that while I'm there, and then identifying who's going to be there. And if I can identify that in advance, to schedule time, to go out of my way, to put myself in a position to connect with people, it's terrific. And then just be proactive. Whatever your platform of choice is, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, it's staying in front of people, figuring out ways that you can add value to somebody else. I can tell you, nobody's got it all figured out. We're all, even if we think we've got it figured out, there's always a stress somewhere in our lives. If you can figure out how to solve that, how to add value, it's terrific. You can create, there's infinite room in this industry. There's always opportunity. And so you find that, and then just be proactive, go out of your way to have those conversations.
Sure. Absolutely. That's fantastic. Yeah. Network. And, it's funny that you mentioned that you got to go with intention, right? I used to, when I started out in the industry, and I would go to these networking events, it was a whole new ball game for me, right? I'd never been to networking events like that, never done it. So the first couple of years I was going to these events, just collecting a crap ton of business cards from everybody and anybody that would hand me one. I would go there and I would just have a blast. I'd come home after a weekend. My wife's like, so did you have a good time? Oh, I had a great time. Great. So what did you accomplish? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. I just had a great time because I didn't understand that I had to go there with an intention. What was I looking for? Who was I looking for? What was my goal for this event? Right. So I appreciate you saying that, because it took me years to figure that out, that you need to go to any networking event with an intention. Who am I going to look for? What does my team, I love what you said. What does my team need, right? What do we need today? Let me go bring it to you, right? That's kind of, that's a main or a major role of us as owner operators, is figuring out what our team needs and providing it so that the ship can sail smoothly and not run aground and kind of miss all of the obstacles and all of the pitfalls.
No, you're exactly right. And when those pitfalls come up, the benefit of having a network is knowing who to tap into. when you don't have the answer, it becomes who, not how.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. The who. And with my coaching program and whatnot, I stress that with my clients. It's
Yeah,
forget about how to do something, because no one is born knowing how to do stuff.
that's right.
No one knows anything. We don't even know how to walk. We don't even know how to eat when we're born, right? So it's not the how. It's who, right? When we're little babies, who helps us walk? Who helps us to start figuring out that my thumb doesn't go in my eye, it goes in my mouth, right?
Right.
There's always someone there to help us figure it out. But when we grow up, when we mature, I don't know what it is that in the school systems and in media, we're brainwashed to always think I gotta know how to do it all.
Yeah.
And I've learned very quickly I don't know how to do many things, right? But I'll
I don't.
find people. I'll find
I
people who
I
know
I
how.
don't I don't wanna I can tell you, one of the reasons I think I was successful in the fix and flip world is I don't know how to do anything.
Hmm.
I don't know I've never swung a hammer in my life. I couldn't fix anything, 0, but I know how to put a project together.
Right.
I know the who's at that. I know how to get something done tight, timely, on budget,
Hmm.
uh, but I don't never in my life am I gonna go figure out how to do it.
That's right. That's right. I know how to put a team together.
Correct.
You know, that's for some of the most successful people out there in the world today. Look at Elon Musk, for
Yes.
example. I love
Yeah.
using him, right? The guy slept on his couch when he was creating PayPal, became a billionaire. And then he's like, you know what? I want to do something else. He goes, I don't know how to get to Mars.
Correct.
I don't know how to create an electric car,
Right.
right? Henry Ford said the same thing. I'm not an accountant. I'll push the red button. My accountant walks in. I'll push the green button. My
Correct.
motor engineer will come in and discuss how to build an engine. He goes, I have no idea how to do that, but I do know how to put the right people together, right? And that's
That's
crucial for success.
You're exactly right about that. If you figure that out, you can solve just about any problem on earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. All right, man. Well, listen, Neil, I know you like to travel. I know you like to go. Where are some places that you've been to, and where are some places that you'd love to go to on your
Oh,
bucket
good.
list?
Good question. All right. So my wife and I just celebrated our 20th anniversary last year. So almost a year ago to the day. We did a terrific European trip. We went to Italy. So we were in Rome. We went to the Amalfi Coast, went to Athens, and then Santorini over in Greece.
Nice.
Absolutely wonderful. Loved every minute of it. I've got a trip next summer, which we have booked. We're doing an Alaskan cruise. And then I think I'll get it booked today. We're going to Auckland, New Zealand here in the winter. So it'll be summer there for them.
I love it, man. I love it. You know, I traveled for about 7 years on it with a backpack. I had long dreadlocks down below my ass. I was a big hippie traveling the world, hence the moniker traveling investor, right? I
Yes.
love both.
Yes.
And it's funny you mentioned Alaskan cruise. My wife now is booking us an Alaskan cruise as well. She's
Terrific.
dying. She's dying to do that. She's like, I want to go. It's the glaciers. I've been to South America. I've seen the glaciers down there, and it's just incredible. They're absolutely phenomenal.
I'm excited.
Yeah, Auckland, New Zealand, man. I was in Australia twice and never made it to New
Never
Zealand.
got to Auckland. Yeah, yeah.
That's
I'm
another
afraid
place.
we're going to Auckland and not going to Australia. So I'm gonna be saying the opposite of you, and I'm gonna be like,
We'll
yes,
share
I know.
stories
Yeah,
afterwards.
exactly. We'll swap. Yeah. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Neil, let me ask you one last piece of advice for people that are listening to
Mhm.
us today on becoming successful in real estate.
Uh,
Drop some knowledge.
yeah. No pressure there, huh?
No pressure. No pressure. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Decide. I mean, that's really what it becomes down to. Decide. Make it your responsibility to do this. If you look at you look back in history at the successful, you mentioned, Elon Musk, Henry Ford. You look at people like that, legends, at some point in their family lineage, they were the ones who decided. And you can be that for your own family lineage, and be that branch that shoots off and changes and alters your family, the lineage that comes after you forever.
I love that, man. Make a decision. Beautiful. Travelers, you can see here, you can reach out to Neil Timmons at Neil J. Timmons for LinkedIn, at the Neil Timmons on TikTok, at Neil J. Timmons. www.legacyimpactinvestors.com. Right. Neil, thank you so much for being on the show. You dropped some amazing nuggets and knowledge, all the way from what the risks are to creating your team, networking. But what I got from you, the one most important thing is taking action, making a decision today and taking action, right? That is the number one key for success. I want to thank you so much, Neil, for being on the show. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate you out there. Travelers, that's all for today's episode of Keys to the Castle, Unlocking the Secrets to Multifamily Investing. We hope you found this episode informative and valuable in your journey towards building wealth through real estate investing. And remember, investing in real estate and in multifamily properties can be a lucrative opportunity, but it also requires a lot of research, due diligence, and strategic planning. And by leveraging the insights and tips from our guests, you can stay ahead of the curve and make informed decisions to maximize your returns. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our show and leave us a review. Your feedback helps us improve and bring you more valuable content. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week, same time, same channel, same place, on Keys to the Castle, Unlocking the Secrets to Multifamily Investing. It's been a pleasure having you. We'll see you next week. Take care.